Welcome back to the channel. Today we are going to be covering version 3 of our best Heisman slider set for Realism. Today we will kind of compare what we did, so I'll have highlighted on the right hand side when we went up and down, but I'll try to also cover it in the video. But we'll also not only cover the league sliders, or which is the gameplay sliders, we're also going to cover our auto subs and stuff of that nature. Again, if you want to check out our players XP progression settings, go check out our video. It'll be posted in the top right hand corner right now. But we found an issue there, and we just couldn't create a slider set that I was comfortable with releasing, just because there wasn't enough tabulated data for us to really kind of get an answer on. I just don't really feel like those sliders affect how much development you get. If you do want to make a change, I would probably put in about a minus 10% to everything. One of the commenters on the last video actually went in and did a longer simulation and kind of just looked at overall, or I guess complete overall of every team rather than looking at specific players, and it looked like your overall progressed slightly every single season. So we just turned things down a little bit. I would say about 10% should do it. But with that being said, I'm glad you're here. I hope you all enjoy this one. If you find it enjoyable or informative at all, consider dropping a subscription and a like down below. It really helps out the channel. It's completely free to you. So with that, let's get into our player skill. So we're going to have quarterback accuracy. We haven't changed it since the last one. I feel like it's in a good position. Pass blocking. So this one's really high for us because the AI sucks at pass blocking in this patch. So after the patch, the linemen just don't block. I don't know what the issue is, but they just will not block for you. So we've turned this up to 75. Honestly, you could probably turn it up to 100, and I don't feel like you can change it. You still get pressured a ton, but this does help out slightly. We kept wide receiver catching the same. We did turn run blocking down by 2. I feel like I was just having too many big gains, and this helps us a little bit. Fumbles, we also turned down to 48. We had it backwards. We had it turned up to 52, but that caused less fumbles because technically this is actually ball security. But for some reason in this one, you're gonna have it called fumbles, but if you look in the main menu, it's called ball security. So we turned it the opposite direction, so we turned it down 4 to 48. And then on pass defense reaction time, we turned up to 70 rather than 68. I just feel like 70 helps us out a little bit. Defense, our AI defense is just abysmal. If you look on the other side of the field, their AI defense is amazing. Like, they are on you like white on rice. Our defense is playing rec league football. I don't know what's going on. So we turned that up to 70 just a little bit. It'll go up by 2. Interceptions we turned down by 8, just because, yeah, I feel like we were picking too much, and I think I kept this with the AI a little bit. Let's look. No, theirs is down to 30. So we could turn it to 30, but we're going to keep it at 32 down. Pass coverage, I turned it up by 2 to 72. Again, similar to the pass defense reaction timing. Your pass coverage just wasn't existent. They just were 15 feet off the guy. It was just annoying. Then we kept tackling the same for this one. For this one, I felt pretty comfortable in it, so we kept it the same at 58. For the AI, we turned this one down by 5. I still feel like they were just completing too many passes. You will still see guys complete the passes, and you'll still see guys get up to 80%, but it's definitely far and few in between. They're still going to hover around those 70 to 68% marks, which is, I feel like, a little bit normal, especially if you're playing at a smaller school that isn't as good. And also the pass defense, reaction time, and pass coverage will help you with that as well. Pass blocking, I kept theirs the same at 55. Wide receiver catching, I kept the same, but the run blocking, I turned down to 45. The run blocking was just too good. There was just many times where the running back would just have an open field, like there'd be a 15-foot hole that they could just run through, and I just feel like turning it to 45 helps that slightly. Similar to our fumbles, we turned it down to 48 because it was the opposite direction, so we turned it down to 48 rather than up to 52. And then their pass defense, I did turn up to 18. I had it at 12. I turned it up to 18. I felt like the good teams weren't getting as big of a benefit, so this helps that out a little bit. Interceptions we kept the same, but pass coverage we turned down quite a bit to 10. Their pass coverage is just insane. They are on you 99% of the time. There might be 1 or 2 times where your defender gets in behind them, or might have a little bit of space, but it's such a tight window. It's just insane. So we turn it down to 10. They still cover you well. Don't get me wrong. Just turning it down to 10 doesn't fix the issue completely, but it does make it better. And then we kept their tackling at 60. Next up, we have special teams. On our field goal power, I do believe we kept this the same. Well, let me double check. No, we turned this up by what, 8? We turned this up by 8. I just feel like we didn't have enough power sometimes, so we turned this up to 38. And then our accuracy, we turned down to 45 from 52. I feel like we just were too accurate sometimes, and college kickers are just not that, so we turned that down. Punt power we turned down, punt accuracy we turned down, and kickoff power we turned down all by 5. Again, there was just times where a kicker would just absolutely boot it to the end of the end zone. I was like, dude, this dude is like a 68 overall. There's no way that he's doing that consistently. So we turned these down by 5. I will say something we did notice. When you go to your home settings and go to your gameplay settings there, and you'll be able to adjust the AI special team settings, and I just make them match ours. But for some reason you cannot change that in the Dynasty. You have to actually go to your home screen and then import your sliders, save them to your PS5 or Xbox, and then import them that way. You'll just press triangle and it'll just upload them. It's actually pretty convenient. I would probably change all your sliding settings there and then just come back to it and upload them from there. And then going from injuries, we turned our injuries up to 50. No, we didn't. Future me cutting in here, we do actually want to turn up our injuries to 60. I had it backwards, so turning it down, if you turn it all the way to 0, it'll disable them completely. So we do want to turn up our injuries to 60 to get a little bit more entries. I just don't feel like there's as many as we should be having in a real football season, so that's why we did this one. And then fatigue, we did turn this up by 15 to 70. I just didn't feel like the guys were just getting subbed out a lot, and that's really the big benefit of V3 rather than V2. On V2, we just left it at 55, and you usually wouldn't see a lot of people. This in combination to our auto subs we're about to show does help out the subbing out a little bit. Specifically for the running back, which is the biggest position you'll see subbed out. Obviously you'll see other positions subbed out, but I feel like they do a good enough job, or the AI does a good enough job. Just the running back was the one you really need to fix. And the minimum speed threshold we kept the same at 25. So moving on to the penalties on offsides, we turned this up from 50 to 62. They just never called it, and I just feel like this does call a little bit more. False start, we turned from 55 to 58. This will again help those false starts a little bit. You still don't get a call a lot, but you'll get a call just slightly more than you did. And then we turned down holding. Holding is annoying because I feel like on 50 you don't get any benefit whatsoever. You rarely ever get a holding call, but on like 55, like we did have it, I feel like it was calling it like 3 times a drive, and I'm just like, that's so many, and like it is pretty critical on you. And there's still not a way to do it on the defense or on the AI as much as you would. They get called maybe once or twice a game, whereas you'll get called it 5 or 6 times. But again, this just makes it a little harder. 52 makes it a little bit more realistic to me. And then we kept face mask the same at 52. I feel like this provided good results for us. We did turn DPI up from 60 to 65, and we kept everything else the same. Roughing the kicker has been fixed, and I'll post probably a short, but I'll have it posted here if I do post it. But I'll show you all a way to just kind of get away with not roughing the kicker at all. I did find a solution to that, so stay tuned for that. If it's not here yet, it'll be here soon. So moving on to auto subs, this will be the last portion of this video, but we did change this around a little bit. Halfback subs we turned up to 90, and halfback sub out we turned up to 85. I do believe everything else is the same. Again, like I said, I feel like all the other positions do sub in and out pretty frequently, which is good. I mean, on the defense it's going to be the same as well, but the halfbacks, I just would never see my running back 2. It would be like 90% of the carries would be my running back 1, and my running back 2 would never really get in. This one gets it to about like 75 to 25, and you'll see your halfback 3 come in every once in a blue moon. I would love to see him a little bit more, because if you guys do get tired of running a lot during the game, you have like 300 running yards, you'll probably do see that third string guy a lot more. But this is kind of something in the works. I'll have to tinker with it a little bit more down the line, and hopefully EA does fix this. There's been people complaining about the line, like I'm saying, like the reason why Ohio State is so bad is because they have 2 really good running backs, but they only use 1 just because the auto sub feature isn't really to the level you need it to be. But that is our version 3. Let me know in the comments what you all think. I personally have had some success with it. The main issue is still the blocking. You're going to feel like your blocking is abysmal, because it is, and that is something that EA will have to fix. I turned it up to 75. If y'all want to try it at 100, let me know in the comments, just because there's just no way to get around it, just because it's the way the game is coded at the moment. But 75 does help it. I had it on like I think 48 or 50, and it was just like every other play they would just be tackling me or sacking me or be pressuring me too much. So 75 does it. It's about maybe once every four plays or so. It's still pretty high, still pretty annoying, but I haven't tried it with a really good team, maybe with like an Oklahoma or Ohio State or an LSU or Alabama. It's a little bit different, and it doesn't really affect you that much, so maybe the 75 will work better for you all. But as a worst team with not a great line, I do have guys that are pretty much around 80 overall at this point. It still just doesn't, they just completely don't block. Like they won't even attempt to block the guy. So Still annoying stuff going on, but hopefully EA will fix it soon. But I appreciate y'all being here. If y'all liked it, let me know in the comments. Hit that like button or hit that subscription button as well. It would really benefit the channel. But I appreciate y'all being here, and I will see you all in the next one.